Welcome back to more Legacy of Kain Defiance, and today we go for the second of these 3 spears. So get your Wind Reaver out and let's get cracking. Yeah, this is a bit of a quest, but then again, Raziel has been on a bit of a quest for a while. Pretty much since the beginning of Soul Reaver. I'm sure he might have got a little bit of a break. Yeah, I'm not fighting any of these things. I've had it with Shades. He might have got a little bit of a break in between Soul Reaver 2 and this game. But he's been on the go for a while. I talked about that in God of War 3, how Kratos had been on the go for both God of War 2 and 3 without a break. Well, Raziel can relate. We will come back to that pool later. I think. Either that or one pretty much just like it. And you gotta love that we can now climb walls in the spectral realm, because otherwise, Raziel would be a bit stuck. Something I wanted to talk about last video and I forgot.
This door clearly required some artifact before it would open.
Thank you, Raziel. The folks at home needed to know that, even though I'm the one playing. It's fine. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about last video. Raziel mentioned how Vorador is depraved. It was just a brief mention. Yeah, I'm not fighting any of you. I understand they were never going to show the depths of Vorador's depravity. I understand that, and that's cool. I have no problems with that. But at least Blood Omen 1, you got dialogue that hinted at how messed up he is. Yeah, we need to go there in a bit. But first... Actually, we will come back this way later for a secret, but right now we actually have to come here. It'll actually be next video we go there. So at least you got some dialogue. You had the bit where Kain was talking about that girl that was tied up. And he mentioned scars like this will never heal. I love how he says that too. It would have been nice to get some more dialogue or see some evidence of his depravity, especially since the graphics are so much better in this game and they really could have done something with it. Again, I understand why they're not going to show the messed up things he's doing. No issues with that. It's just something that would have been nice to see, is all. Something else about Vorador I wanted to talk about in the last video. You might have noticed he's alive in Blood Omen 2, and Kain doesn't react to it. He just knows he's there and isn't surprised. Raziel, you are the worst house guest. I mean, really? Always breaking shit? But whatever, he's Raziel. He don't give a fuck. He does what he wants. Or more accurately, he does what everybody else tells him to do. He will bitch about it, and usually that will involve a long monologue, but he usually ends up doing what people want him to do. See Soul Reaver 2 as an example. Literally everything he did in that game was what others wanted him to do. Oh yeah, this part. I remember this giving me a lot of issue back when I originally played this game. This time, I actually did not fuck this up. I was surprised. Because there is no depth perception. I almost fucked that up. I was holding down the attack button. Well, not the attack button, but the lock-on button, which keeps you from, for the most part, falling off. There are times where it lets me down, but for the most part, it's pretty good. Yeah, Vorador being alive was one of those weird inconsistencies in Blood Omen 2, where the makers were given a Bible for the series, what to mess with, what to not fuck up, and they ignored all of that. So the developers had this idea. Dude, get out of the way. They had this idea of having this Kain resurrect Vorador, which is something Kain has talked about. Damn it, just take the fucking body. God. Kain has mentioned that the pillars need to be associated, I guess, where you have each pillar that has somebody that's associated with the element of it, with vampires. So instead of human guardians, they need vampire guardians. I am digging this atmosphere. It's pretty good. And we're in another room, kind of like that library from the last video. Instead of lighting objects, we make them dark. So that's fun. And this is where I turn on the infinite reaver charge cheat, just so I don't have to keep going back to that reaver charge, just to save me some time. But if you're playing this and looking for help with this, you will need to go back to that reaver charge. It's not a huge deal, but it allows me to save some time. And if for some reason somebody is watching this for help, it allows you to get to the important stuff without watching me mess with nonsense. So like with the previous one, there are 6 of these. And again, he got it just as he fell, which is good enough. I'll take it. So Kain needs to bring back vampires as he's the last one. Or he's the last one at the end of Blood Omen 1. I'm trying to think of how to say this. So at some point, Kain, you can already imagine, is going to travel to this time period. And then there will be 2 Kains and Vorador. And that's it for vampires. And we know what happens to Vorador in Blood Omen 1. Better than the people that make Blood Omen 2 know what happened to him. So Kain apparently doesn't really know how to make pure blood vampires, from what I understand. The vampires he made were a bit different. Don't ask me how, I don't completely understand it. And there is a scene from one of the promos that shows Kain in Vorador's mansion, which is of course where we are right now. So the idea is that Kain was going to resurrect Vorador to help create new pillar guardians with pure blood vampires. Unfortunately, that did not make it into this game. It would have been nice. That is one of the plot points that never gets addressed. But just so you know, that's how Vorador shows up in Blood Omen 2, is Kain brings him back. We just never get to see it. Excellent. How younger Kain knows that Vorador is still alive, I have no idea. We never get to see that either. And that's never explained. Yeah, be sure to have your reaver charge for this part because you're gonna need it. Otherwise these things flip over and you can't get across. Which is not great. And it sucks too because that was a big plot point that really needed to be addressed. But every one of these games was pretty much rushed, so it's not a surprise. I think for what it is, we got a good game, all things considered. It's just, it could have been so much better if they had more time, which is probably something that can be said of most games. Awesome. It looks like we just about got the second of these things. Then we just have to make it back. And if you're wondering, gee, are there going to be statues in our way? Why, yes, there will be. I think only one group this time, but they will exist. So now that I have this cheat on, I can show off these Reaver charge attacks more. Once we get the next 2 abilities, you're going to see me use the crap out of those. They'll be new toys, so I got to play with them. So enjoy the fire effect while I'm using it. Although I'm not using it right now, but still. I will in a moment. I'm kind of okay with fighting enemies here because it has been a little while since I fought something. It's just weird to have to run from a bunch of enemies just to make the combat feel a bit more balanced in this game. Because it does feel right to be attacking enemies now. Yeah, I haven't used the light attack much, so I thought I'd do it again. Same with the wind. Obviously, epilepsy warning. After the fact. It is a shame, though, because it would have been nice to see what they could have done. I'll try to look for footage of Kain in Vorador's place. I don't know if there's video of it or if it's just still images. But if I can find anything, then I will try to add that to the end of one of these videos. It's not going to be this one, even though it's a short video. But I'll try to remember to do that later. No promises. Again, I've been at work all day, so I am tired. And I've got to come up with something for dinner. That'll be interesting. Stabby stab. Hey, forced fight is over. Nice. All right, Raziel, it's time to get back to put the spear in because I've ran out of all my talking points already. Yeah, it does kind of suck that there's not a lot more detail in this game. Again, they were rushed. I don't blame the devs for that. It's just, I would love to have seen some of these cities. I liked that about the Blood Omen games. I know I've said that before. Oh, and look at this. I was able to make that jump. It would have been cooler to make that higher platform, but I'll still take it. It's one less thing I have to jump up on. So I'm cool with that. And it was still pretty cool. I doubt you can make it up to this platform. If you can, let me know in the comments because that's pretty cool. Well, it's pretty cool if you can actually do that. But yeah, this is one of the few buildings we actually get to run around in that isn't a temple. It would have been cool to see some of his torture rooms. Not actually to see the devices in action, just enough to get an idea that some messed up shit happened in those rooms. Or something where you could look at it and recognize it from Blood Omen. I mentioned in the previous video a secret. Now we can access it. Why we couldn't do this before, I have no idea. But we got it. But as I was saying, just see some rooms where you see just enough to let the mind fill in the blanks and give the player the idea that some really messed up stuff happened in this mansion. Would have been cool. Going back to Vorador, it really sucks we didn't get to see Kain resurrect him because they could have slipped in a line of dialogue about how Vorador would go seek out the younger Kain for some reason, which would let you know why younger Kain knows that he's back among the living. Or undead, whatever it is he is. God, just one more game to tie up everything would have been nice. Sure, things would have been rushed, but at this point, I would take it. If Amy Henning came back to write it. Hey, statue time. Explode for me. And this one went down pretty much right after that previous one, so I saw no need to edit this. Awesome. And not a moment too soon because I am out of stuff to talk about. Thank Christ this is a short video. I am enjoying doing these. It's just Like I said, I'm tired from work and there's no story happening. And we're not really doing much. It won't be for a while until we start to get more story stuff to where I can talk more about the story again. And that's what I can't wait for. So I mentioned in the previous video, these first two you can do in whatever order you want. The last one, you have to wait until you've done these two. Hey, we're making progress, and there are soul basins in that wall, if you want it. I thought I was going to break it, but I guess not. Oh well. Anyways, we're going to go through this door next time, so be ready for that. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time with more Legacy of Kain Defiance.